All right, Drew, we're smack dab in the middle of Week 3 and Week 4 here. Want to get to our picks?
Let's do a little review first before we...
Looking back on Week 3, Drew, 10-6. Well done, sir, with your all-road team picks.
Thanks. Thank you. If it wasn't for those overtimes, I could have had a better record.
Likewise, if it wasn't for 11 games I lost, I would have been 16-0 because I was 5-11.
Oh. Yes, there was a pretty exciting week here last week with 3 overtime games, and almost every game was decided by 7 points or less.
A lot of close ones. We were watching the early games together, and it was amazing how they timed out with CBS taking us from ending to ending, of another game.
And it just goes to show you can never predict in the NFL.
Even week to week. When you think you have all the answers, they change the questions.
Well, Bill, hopefully you and I can improve on next week with our picks. So who do we got going here?
Yeah, let's go through the slate. And while we do, let me, in honor of Steve Sable, throw on some NFL Films music.
Ooh, nice.
Always love to have that underneath us, yes.
Nice.
The Thursday nighter, Baltimore hosting Cleveland, favored by 12, Drew.
Favored by 12. Well, this is one of those trap picks again.
It's a trap.
It's a trap, as Admiral Akbar would say. But coming off that one-point victory against New England, I think they build their confidence and come in and take care of business against Cleveland.
I agree. I will take Baltimore and lay the lumber. Cleveland seems pretty hopeless right now.
Yeah, especially since they lost to Buffalo.
I just seem to dump on every Bills opponent from the prior week that they're beating, right? Now to Sunday, Atlanta at home, 7-point favorites over the Panthers.
I'm going Falcons here.
Me too.
I think Cam Newton and the offense needs to be more consistent before I give them a fair chance again.
It seems like teams are figuring out how to play Cam Newton. Last year, they loaded the box a little too afraid of the run, and he would throw over the top of it. Of course, the first rookie to throw for over 4,000 yards. I've heard a little more cover, too. And, boy, the Giants sure put on a clinic on how to ratchet that offense down almost completely. Next up, your Buffalo Bills, Drew. At home against the Patriots, 4-point underdogs.
Well, from what I've seen so far from the Patriots, you'd think that this is a pretty confident pick with the Bills, but it's an interdivision game. I'm not sold on the Bills yet, even though they have had a couple of good games after their 0-1 start. So I'm gonna have to give the nod to the Patriots covering the spread here. Four is a big difference between 4 and 3.
And Patriots coming in 1-2, a cornered, dangerous animal, as the cliche goes. Doesn't matter to me. I'll take Buffalo at home.
Oh, thanks, Bill.
Oh, you're welcome. Because they were so impressive against a game Cleveland Browns team. A week after beating the feisty Kansas City Chiefs. So, next up, Minnesota at Detroit. Lions favored by 4.5.
Well, from what I saw from the Vikings last week, I'm going to take them. Plus, Stafford's hurt, so who knows how potent their offense will be next week.
Ooh, hurt as in questionable? Or?
Yeah, questionable. Strained chest muscle or something.
Oh, man. That's got to determine. If I can change my pick up to game time, that'll determine my choice. Right now, I'll go with Minnesota if Stafford's not playing.
All right.
He did happen to stay healthy last year after, kind of being knocked for not being able to finish a season. So.
That's right.
San Diego at Kansas City, that's a straight-up pick-em game.
Really? From what I saw against New Orleans, Kansas City ran all over the Saints. And Kansas City's at home. It's an interdivision game. I'm going with the Chiefs.
I'm going with the Chiefs, too. It seems like the Chargers were exposed after kind of a mirage start. Seattle coming off their miracle Monday night victory, whatever you want to call it, screw job, at St. Louis. Seattle favored by 2.5.
Seattle's favored by 2.5. Well, the Rams are they're kind of underrated in terms of how quick their offense is, and although Seattle's defense is pretty amazing, holding Green Bay to 12 points.
Yeah.
So I'm giving the nod to the Seahawks.
I'll take the Rams. Seattle feel a letdown spot. Next up, pretty big game, San Francisco at the Jets. 49ers favored by 4.
San Francisco at the Jets. This is a tough one. 4 points is a big number once again. I'm going to go with the Jets here.
As will I. In spite of Darrelle Revis having been lost for the season, they lost Chris Jenkins, their nose tackle, an important player in the 3-4 defense. They lost him 2 seasons, finishing 1st and 3rd in defense those 2 seasons. So Revis is really important. Not the end of the world to lose him. Look at the Giants with losing Terrell Thomas last year. Not saying Thomas was quite on Revis's level, but he was getting there. The Jets may not win, but it'll be close, and I've got to stick to my kind of year-long prediction that the 49ers taking a step back this year. We saw it against Minnesota. Man, the Vikings looked awfully good in a game that we thought should be a blowout. So,
looks like they're pondering their next defensive move.
Hey, nice. And the last early game, Houston hosting Tennessee, 12-point favorites.
Well, Tennessee was able to pull out a victory against the Lions in overtime.
Wow, what a shootout.
Yeah. Don't think Houston's going to allow 44 points this week as the Lions did. I think Tennessee rolls in and gets smacked.
I have Houston as well.
Nice.
Again, laying the large point spread. To the 4 o'clock games on the East Coast, one out where we are. Oakland at Denver. Broncos 6.5-point favorites.
Ooh, 6.5 points. That's an enticing spread there.
They're begging you. All you need to do is win by a touchdown.
Yeah. Well, looks like Oakland's running game is back on track, and Carson Palmer seems to be showing signs of his old self, so I'm going to take the Raiders here to lose by less than 6.5.
Man, the Raiders are so erratic. The whole AFC West seems so up and down. A point spread like this seemingly makes no sense after what we saw last week. I'll just kind of go with it's going to flip again, and I think Broncos win big. Next up, Dolphins at Cardinals, Arizona by 6.5.
You know, this is the highest I've ever seen the Cardinals favored against the team.
Wow, yeah.
In a while. Now, that being said, the Dolphins should have beaten the Jets last week. Cardinals' defense is improved a lot, but I'm gonna give the nod to the home team, going with the Cardinals.
I'm going with the Cardinals as well.
Nice.
Miami, still pretty terrible. I'll keep saying that unless they lose to the Bills.
Yeah,
then I'll give
really
them more credit. To Jacksonville, Jaguars hosting the Bengals. Bengals favored on the road by 2.5 here.
Bengals just beat the Redskins by 7 away from their home, so I could see them winning by at least a field goal against Jacksonville and going with Bengals.
I'll take the Bengals as well. Jaguars' surprising win on the road over the Colts last week, but Colts not world beaters either, so doesn't really move the needle for me. Packers perhaps angry, looking to take out their frustration against the Saints, who are trying to avoid going to 0-4. Packers 7.5-point favorites in Lambeau.
Ooh, 7.5, and that's a tough one to do, because you got to win by more than a touchdown. Unless the Saints watch game film of the Seahawks containing Rodgers, I just don't see Saints coming into Lambeau with much to do there, so I say Packers win big.
I think the Saints saved their season in this game. Shock the Packers. The Packers were 15-1. Since then, they're on a 1-3 streak, counting the playoffs last year. They get shocked again. New Orleans wins outright.
Ooh, that's a bold prediction.
Oh, it sure is.
Bold and italic and underlined.
And if I miss, it will be strike through.
And shadowed.
Buccaneers now at home against the Redskins, favored by 3.
Well, let's see here. Buccaneers played poorly against the Cowboys, even though I think the only touchdown they allowed was a punt return almost. I think RGIII is going to be too much for this team. I think he comes back after his loss last week and beats the Bucs.
I agree. Redskins cover, Redskins win, and Greg Schiano classlessly tries to injure the Redskins offensive line on a kneel down. All right, the Sunday Nighter, Drew. Giants at Eagles. Eagles favored by 2.
Eagles are favored, huh? Man,
they are.
Oh man.
A couple of 2-1 teams
It
here.
is in Philly. Favored by 2. I think I'm going to go with the Giants here, because even though O.C. Umenyiora is a ballerina in a Giants uniform, Michael Vick is like a glass doll. Plus, you can't expect a defensive front to get fired up after what LaShawn McCoy said. So.
Yep, I think the Giants, in spite of having lost 7 of 8 against the Eagles, Giants come in revved up for this game, continue their momentum, win this one. I think you predicted before the season when we did our game-by-game picks that Michael Vick might not make it past this game. I think the Giants will hit him a lot. He may not leave the game, but he'll feel it, and it'll affect his performance. So I'm taking the Giants. I'm going to say 23-17.
Nice.
Monday Nighter now. Cowboys at home, giving 3.5 to the Chicago Bears.
Well, Bill, it seems like Jay Cutler and the Bears don't play well against good pass rush in the Packers and now the Cowboys. I think they go into Dallas, and similar fate. What happened in Green Bay? Sacked about 4 times. He's going to throw a couple picks. Dallas wins.
I agree. DeMarcus Ware has a big night, and Dallas covers. And to loop back to the Giants here, Ahmad Bradshaw expected back, and it looks like he'll be getting the start. What do you think of this, Drew? How much of a role should Andre Brown have?
As a fantasy owner of Ahmad Bradshaw, I say Andre Brown gets 0 carries. But just because a player starts doesn't mean he'll get the most of the carries. So depending on how Bradshaw does coming out of the gates, could be close to 50-50 here.
Yeah, and Coughlin said he's certainly not against riding the hot hand, whoever that may be, and kind of reading between the lines, it sounds like Brown to me. So
right.
I'll kind of stick with the 60-40 in favor of Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Although I would like to see much more Andre Brown.
Well, as a fan, I would assume that you got to be happy with either one.
Sure,
so,
if they're running well. Maybe it's just that the line has kind of got it together better now, and now we get to see what Bradshaw can do behind it, because if he's healthy, it's not like he's forgot how to run and, find the holes and exploit them since last year, and a pretty solid career so far. So
yeah, to be honest, I think Andre Brown is a better backup or complement role than Jacobs was last year. Plus, you don't have DJ Ware doing screens and draws.
Oh, he's missed.
Now, Bill, speaking of backups, if I may discuss the Buffalo Bills here for a couple minutes.
Oh, please do.
Just like the Giants last week, we started with the second string running back, CJ Spiller, who has performed as well or as better than Andre Brown since Fred Jackson's been out. But now CJ Spiller has been injured. So, But Fred Jackson might be available this week. They haven't ruled him out yet. If not, then Tashard Choice is the choice.
Yeah, and he was a good choice last week, wasn't he?
Yeah. This victory against the Patriots would be pretty awesome. I don't expect them to win, but as you said earlier, it would seem to be almost like a passing of the torch within the AFC East if the Bills could get a victory here.
Right, at the very least, a statement game for the time being, beating a rival who's already down. They play later in the year, and the Patriots could very well win the second matchup the way it went last year, but big game for the Bills here. I think they need to win it to, at least for now, establish themselves as a contender in the AFC.
I agree. I don't think we can keep playing this 500 game, going 2-1, then 2-2, or winning a couple, losing a couple in a row. So we'll see. Hopefully Ryan Fitzpatrick steps up this week in the passing game, because we're going to need it.
Sports Limelight, episode 54. Thanks as always for joining us. Thank you, Drew, for making the trip in.
Why, thank you, Bill, for having me on the show.
You're welcome. And we'll talk to you next time.
You're welcome.